Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today I got 5 tips to help you get better at taking portraits of people. Alright, so I've been taking and making portraits of people for just over 10 years now. I have made thousands of different portraits, and there's one thing that's in common, and that's basically what I'm sharing these tips for, is to build your connection with your subject. So as you know, there's lots of different styles of portraits, and some last 5 minutes, some are 2 hours, some are all day long. So over the years, I've figured out a way to build a connection with my subject really quickly, and that's what I want to share with you. This video is made for beginners, somebody that's just starting out, somebody that has little to no experience making portraits. I know when I was first starting out, I had to figure all this stuff out on my own, and I wish that I had a little bit of guidance. So let's jump in with tip number 1, and that is don't under-direct. You are hired, or you are having somebody sit for you for a portrait, and they want to be told what to do. So this could be as simple as you come into the session and you're just like, okay, are you ready for this? And then you tell them, turn your head this way, turn your chin, place your chin down, eyes up, like just any number. You know, you could have a go-to just to break the ice, but what that does, you're building trust with your subject right away. The most uncomfortable thing is when somebody's sitting for a session and they don't know what to do. They're just sitting there waiting for you, and you're waiting for them to do something, and then you have this kind of awkward moment. It varies from person to person. Some people are really comfortable in front of a camera and they will kind of lead the way for you, but if you're going to be shooting lots of different portraits of different types of people with different levels of experience, then just start off with directing, giving a couple directions and a couple compliments, and you'll be good to go. So the next tip is kind of the opposite of that, and it is don't over direct. So I was a personal trainer for 13 years, and one of the lessons that I learned, one of the lessons that I learned early on as a trainer is you can confuse somebody by giving too many different cues or directions all at the same time. So if you think about it, you tell somebody to drop your shoulder, lift your other shoulder, turn your head to the right, lift your right eyebrow. Eventually you're looking at somebody that is very confused and doesn't really know what to do. They get overwhelmed. So in training, and I also just adapted this into my portraits, is you give 2 cues or 2 different directions at a time, take some photos, and then give 2 more directions. So you're giving them the 2 cues. Okay, great, looking good. And then you give them the next 2. So it's just building. It's like a kind of a chess game. You have your opener, and then you make your moves, and you know what you want, but you're trying to not overwhelm your subject. So just 2 cues at a time, sprinkle in some compliments, and treat it as a chess game. You know that the end result will be the portrait that you want. All right, so moving into the next tip, and this is one that is a huge confidence booster if it works, but it doesn't work with everybody. So I know a lot of people are gatekeepers with showing the backs of their screens or showing a computer if you're tethered. But if your subject is open to seeing the back of your screen, show them. You're looking at it to review your photos, and you're like, hey, do you want to see what you look like? If they say yes, show them the screen. This can be a big confidence booster. They don't, you know, especially if they're new to being photographed, they haven't seen themselves with the kind of lighting that you are using, or high quality camera. So showing the back of the screen if they're open to it. Some people are very nervous or not interested, and they don't want to see, they just don't show those people because that will probably make them more insecure and then do the opposite of what you're trying to do. But showing the back of your screen can be very helpful to build confidence, to build morale on the set. I do this with a lot of my clients. I definitely don't show every single one of them because some of them don't want to see. I've done entire portrait sessions where they didn't see any photos until I sent them the Dropbox. So feel this one out, but it's definitely a helpful tool. Okay, so tip number 4, this comes in handy a lot. And this I usually share with the client before the portrait session. And I make a folder of poses or portraits that work as an inspiration for the shoot. So I just make mine on Pinterest, and if I have connection to the internet, then I can easily access the inspiration photos. I typically just use these as a guide. At the very beginning when I was starting out, I noticed that a lot of the reference photos that I would pull and have on my phone the person didn't have the same shaped limbs or proportions, and it became really frustrating to make a portrait that looked exactly like what was on the screen. So just keep in mind that you're like, this is only a guide. We're just using this as inspiration. Let's make it our own. And then it becomes more fun for them because then they can put in their own flavor. You can put in your own flavor into the portrait. It is supposed to be a unique portrait of them. But sometimes you get stuck or need inspiration. So I share the inspo with the client before the session, and then if for whatever reason you get stuck, say it's a 2-hour session, you're halfway through, you've done a lot of different poses, and then you need a little boost of inspiration. Just pull out the folder, take a look, show them, and then you can replicate that portrait. All right, so this is the final tip, and this is really, I think, important. So get your portrait taken from another photographer. Put yourself in your subject's shoes. Try to do it often. See what it feels like to be on the other end of the camera. It is at first really uncomfortable, especially if they're not giving you direction, if they're over directing. You'll see all the things that I listed as tips, and you'll understand very quickly how to show up for your next photo shoot. I get my photo taken all the time just because I need marketing material for myself. It is a lot of fun. Even though I know lighting, I know what the camera is seeing, I've shot plenty of portraits. I could help the photographer most of the time take a good portrait of me, but it's nice to let someone else take control and have a creative vision of me. I hope these tips help you in your next portrait session. Next, head over to this video. It's all on mastering one light. For studio photography, taking portraits with studio lighting is a lot of fun. It's a nice way to have a controlled environment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.